Hello, and welcome to the AWS Edge Innovation Spotlight, where we showcase how our ISV partners are revolutionizing application delivery and security at the edge. Today, we're exploring groundbreaking implementations and real world success stories that demonstrate the power of Edge through our partners. My name is Nishit Sahani. I'm a director here at AWS. I lead our CloudFront Global Accelerator and Edge Compute Services. And I'm delighted to have Subbu Iyer from Cequence, one of our partners, to speak and share insights about joint success stories. Welcome, Subbu.
Thank you, Nishit. Thanks for having me here.
Great. So let's start by you telling us a bit about Cequence, how it started, and what do you do?
Sure. Cequence was founded back in 2014 when our founders, Ameya and Shreyans, saw firsthand the growing threat of API abuse. They realized the limitations of existing security tools while they were at Symantec, and they realized that these security tools relied on instrumenting client-side applications to detect security threats. And they foresaw the advent of an API-based era where instrumenting client-side applications would become impossible. So they basically imagined a brand new way of threat detection where the threat detection was primarily on the server side, which evolved into machine learning-based analysis of application traffic. So that's our root, and we have since then evolved to become a complete API security and bot protection platform.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Can you share more about that evolution, especially these days as things are moving so fast?
Yeah, so our core mission has always been to protect what connects you. That has always been been constant in execution as well as scope. We started off from the threat protection side, where we started detecting application threats and protecting them in real time. But very soon that evolved into customers asking us, well, if you are protecting this particular application, how do I discover my entire application attack surface? So we expanded to cover the entire gamut of API attack surface detection and its risk posture management. So since then, our mission has essentially expanded to become a complete API attack surface discovery, risk posture management, and threat protection platform. And it bodes really well to the modern era where agentic applications have essentially added to the attack surface that organizations have today.
That's great. That's great. And what type of customers do you serve globally? Are there particular segments that you focus more on?
Yeah, so we serve the Global 2000 and Fortune 500 enterprises across the financial services, retail, and telecom sectors primarily, largely, though we have customers in other verticals such as energy, healthcare, and insurance as
I
well.
see. Can you share some challenges that you might have faced over the years?
Yeah. So as we started our company, obviously we were designed for the application threat protection space. That was very much a product that was designed for the security personas, the InfoSec personas, who wanted to have a product that they could use to detect various forms of threats, business logic abuse, and fraud of various types in their environment. As we expanded into the API security, the risk posture management, and the hygiene use cases, we started seeing different personas, such as the application developer persona, come into the mix as well. Because they started coming in and saying, wait, I want to see what Cequence is detecting about my APIs. And we would tell them that we have discovered APIs that don't have authentication, or are we using a weak form of authentication, or are exposing sensitive data without the appropriate security controls. So we started seeing our buyer personas expand into adjacent areas within the organization. So that has been a fascinating evolution for us to expand beyond the security buying center into adjacent areas within the organization.
I would imagine network persona is another one, that network and application security, and then just core security, InfoSec persona are the ones that you work with.
Yeah, the network security persona is very clued in because the network security persona typically owns like the WAF and so on, like that layer of protection.
Yeah.
And we come in after that because the WAFs do not do API security or business logic abuse protection and so on.
Nice.
So the network security persona does see the value that we are protecting, that we are adding to the organization with our market leading API business logic abuse and threat protection capability.
Great. What are some of the largest customers that you serve, or different types of customers that you can talk about?
Yeah, so we have customers in really all the verticals that I mentioned, telecom, financial services, retail, and so on. We have some extremely large organizations in the financial services sector. Our first customer, actually, back from about more than 10 years ago, is one of the largest credit card processing companies in the world. It's a household name that is based in the US. We have other large customers in other verticals. If I were to name in the telecom space, I can name T-Mobile as one of our largest customers. They are not only a customer, but also actually an investor in the company because they like the product that much. And we have similar large customers in the retail, beauty, cosmetics areas, and other retail sectors as well.
That's great. That's fascinating. Is there an instance you can recall where you've helped shape the industry or help solve a big problem for an industry?
Yeah, there's a fascinating example from the retail space, actually. One of our very large customers is a household name. It's a beauty products, cosmetics retailer, high-end cosmetics. We are deployed in their environment at scale, protecting their applications from various forms of abuse. One of the forms of abuse that we detected and blocked is suspicious enumeration of inventory information in their store outlets. So what we realized then was that there was a very interesting correlation between this querying of inventory information for premium cosmetics products and physical crime. So apparently it turned out that these bad actors would actually query the inventory of various stores in large US cities to find where certain premium cosmetics products were in stock.
Oh,
And
wow.
if they realized that a store had that in stock, there was an extremely high degree of correlation between a store having that in stock and these calls happening on that store's APIs with incidents of physical crime on that store. So when we started blocking these attacks, the customer told us that the number of physical crime incidents on their stores dropped as well. So that was a very interesting discovery for us, that by stopping something as a cybersecurity problem, we actually had helped them counter a physical crime abuse in certain stores where they could not earlier figure out what was the correlation between a particular store being mobbed or looted and an IT security problem.
That's a really fascinating story of offline and online world coming together and connecting.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Let's switch to how the AWS partnership and AWS brand helped you.
Yeah, Cequence has been partnering very closely with AWS for many years, including conducting joint marketing events such as demand generation events, webinars, co-branded collateral, APN program participation, as well as listing our product offerings on the AWS marketplace. Through these vehicles, we have actually gained tremendous visibility and awareness amongst our target customers.
And what would you say, how is the partnership evolving, where it started from, and where it is right now, where it's going?
Yeah, we are invested very deeply in AWS. We are an ISV Accelerate partner with SaaS COSIL status now. We have achieved security and retail competency as well. And we have a WAF and CloudFront ready designation as well for our products. In fact, we transact millions of dollars of transactions through the AWS marketplace. We register our opportunities by default for AWS co-sell engagement, and we engage globally with the AWS Edge partner teams around the world with the AWS Edge stack.
That's fabulous. How are you measuring success?
Yeah, obviously, top line growth and sales are a great indicator of success. We also measure that by the value that we are adding to customers, and essentially how we are expanding our footprint within customers and expanding to solve adjacent use cases. Like I mentioned, starting from a bot or an application protection problem statement to helping them discover their entire application attack surface, both external facing as well as internal facing applications, and now helping them protect their agentic AI rollouts and their agentic AI transformation strategies. So essentially, our value prop in that customer's evolution is also very, very key. So that's how we kind of measure our success, by the value that we are adding to customers.
That's great. And you've been here at Cequence for quite a few years. What's been your proudest moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. There have been many instances, many fascinating wins, many interesting sort of deployments, and so on. One particular use case that, or one particular win that comes to mind, is this very large retail customer again, who's a very large AWS customer. They are a CloudFront customer. They were very interesting in their footprint in that they had probably the broadest application deployment scenario around the world, including deployments all over the US, Europe, very strong presence in China as well, and certain parts of Southeast Asia. They had a very broad presence.
Yeah.
What they wanted is they were very invested in AWS. They were a full AWS shop. What they wanted was a consistent security policy against business logic abuse, threat protection, and advanced bots for their entire application footprint. So that deployment was very notable in us having to deploy this across a very broad footprint of AWS, but ensuring that the same security policies get applied to all their applications. So that stands out and that actually surfaced our differentiators against our competitors as well, in our ability to do this, whereas many competitors fell short by having them deploy in a particular environment on a particular deployment only. We could scale globally around the world.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You talked about differentiators. Can you share a bit more about how customers look at the differentiators that you have?
Yeah, so that our sales motions have also evolved over time. We initially started off with a very direct sales motion where we would sell the application threat protection capability primarily through a direct channel. Over time, that has evolved to a very channel-driven go-to-market structure that we have. We have invested in the channel tremendously, so to the extent that our business through the channel actually exceeds our direct business considerably now. So now we engage with the channel very closely for fulfillment as well as for bringing many opportunities to us, where they are bringing the API security opportunities or replacement of incumbent bot solutions to us, and we are able to implement that across the world.
That's helpful. Yeah. And how are you staying competitive as you think about your business and think about the future? How does Cequence think about staying competitive?
Yeah. So as we have expanded beyond threat protection to now include API security, discovery, posture management use cases, we have always stayed true to that fundamental tenet of being a network-based deployment.
I see.
So we never need to give a customer JavaScripts and SDKs to go instrument their client-side applications. Neither do we have to do it on the server-side applications. We have stayed true to that core of purely being network-based. So we integrate with the CloudFronts, the API gateways, anything that is in the network. And that has stood us in very well in terms of being a differentiator, because we don't slow down application development teams or deployment teams by having to instrument every application with our technologies. And that is boding well for our expansion into the agentic AI space as well.
Yeah.
Because as we expand into that space, you really don't have the ability to go instrument agentic AI apps like ChatGPT and Claude. You really have to stay within the network. Yeah. So that's where we have a fundamental technology called threat and entity behavioral analytics. And that's the core network level piece that helps us analyze network application traffic and being able to have good traffic from that.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I think speed, scale, and safety, they're all non-optional. right?
They're non-negotiable. Absolutely.
Non-negotiable. Yeah, great. Any learnings for other partners or customers that you like to share?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we would recommend is stay focused on customer problem statements and really listen to your customers, obsess over customer problem statements. Going back to our example, obviously we started with a particular mission to solve the threat protection space, but we listened to customers because they said, "Look, you're stopping bad traffic on this particular endpoint or this particular application. I really don't know how many such applications I have in my organization." So once enough customers asked us that, we realized that the market is now expanding to an API discovery or an API security problem statement. Then we expanded into discovery, and then we told them, "Look, people are attacking these applications because you have a weak security posture there." That's how we went into security posture management. And now, similarly, all our customers are being dragged into almost being forced by the market into this agentic AI revolution, transformation, as we call it, because that's really going to transform every application as we see it.
Right.
And we are flowing with it, and that's the next focus for us to be able to help our customers solve that problem.
Yeah, obsessing about customers.
Obsess over customers is really the number one mantra.
Yeah. How do you think about managing the business, and especially, like you mentioned, the transformation that's happening with AI and how you see this evolving?
Yeah, agentic AI is really going to transform applications, similar to the digital transformation era, where we saw centralized applications, decentralize and become microservices applications. Now we are seeing a similar sort of transformation that is being brought about by agentic AI. That's going to transform everything. What we are hearing from customers is that they are trying to securely connect and protect various agentic AI applications that they buy into with various applications that they have. Those may be internal applications or enterprise SaaS applications, securely to these agentic AI applications, and prevent abuse or business logic abuse or sensitive data exfiltration through these agentic AI usage.
I see.
So that's where we are seeing the agentic AI market go.
Yeah, it's early days, but we see a lot of activity. I'm sure you do as well. And every day is a new learning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So finally, what does the future hold?
Yeah, we will strive to be a leader in application protection while we continue to expand our ability to help organizations enable safe and secure agentic AI access, whether it is to their internal applications, external or SaaS applications. That's really what we will focus on. And we will continue to expand our business outside of the US. And of course, we are really looking to expand our relationship and foster our partnership with AWS.
Great. Well, thank you, Subbu, for the great insights today.
Thanks so much, Nishit, again, for having me here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening.